Welcome back to Nightmare Logic, where we love monsters almost as much as we love adolescent games. We're your hosts, Christopher Smith, Peter Sawyer, and back from the dead, Taffeta Darling. It's the 4th of July, and we didn't feel like working very hard or bothering a guest this week. So kick back, crack a cold one, grill some meat, and laugh along with us as we play Fuck, Marry, Kill Monster Edition, complete with a special bonus round.
You don't have to grill meat if you're vegan or vegetarian. Putting that out there.
I grilled veggie dogs.
Here we are, as we said, Taffeta is joining us again after a few weeks off.
I mean, we can just say I had the shingles. I had fucking shingles. That was terrible. So I didn't really, I mentioned it a couple times on my stories, but yeah, it was shingles and it sucked. But I'm glad that I'm up and walking. So thank you. Back to The Walking Dead.
Right. It's amazing how just basic health, it's like we kind of undervalue it when we're healthy. And then when you're sick, you're like, the only thing that matters is that I walk again.
And like, this is the worst I've felt as an adult. Like, I had the chicken pox when I was younger, and this is the equivalent of having the chicken pox. But when, you're 8 years old and it's 2 weeks of like missing school and your parents are taking care of you, and then you're having I grew up in Texas, so we did have pox parties. I had friends come by so they could get exposed to it, and they left. And, it was a thing. And as a 46-year-old woman, you're like, oh my God, this is the worst. I just want to go to sleep.
Oh man, I know. And it's like the older we get, the like more I'm like, oh,
yeah.
This is just like kind of the new normal.
I had fever visions of cabin fever, like the movie Cabin Fever.
Taffeta did that. I mean, it seems like the heat also just makes things worse.
It was. Well, because we did that dog walking when you were like, giving me the ropes and stuff. And like, I didn't even realize that's when it was starting to hit in. And when I got back from that, I had like a lot of red spots everywhere. And it started with my back really hurting. And it's like, this is kind of my own little horror story I'll share really quick. And I didn't realize it. What it was, I just thought I'd hurt myself from hiking. So I was putting like a heating pad on it and like wrapping it up, and it just made it worse. And so it just got moisture in it, which just like accelerated it. And that's why it was as bad as it was. And by the time I recognized and was told what it was too late for the antiviral. So they were like, it can be 4 to 6 weeks, sometimes a couple of months. I was like, dear God.
All right, well, that's a cautionary tale to all of you listeners out there.
Yeah, it was essentially stress. Stress triggered it. So take care of yourselves.
God, it has been stressful lately.
Yeah, but I'm back. Thank y'all for going on without me and not judging me.
No, man, I totally get it. I'm glad you're doing better. We're happy to have you back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. It was it's been lonely without you. Just being Peter, quarreling.
I do miss the quarreling.
In the last couple of weeks, have you guys seen anything really interesting or read anything, like done anything cool you want to talk about?
The main thing that I picked up as far as like the comics goes is the new Dead Man comic series. It's one of my favorite characters, Boston Brand. He's kind of like this circus performer who died, but he can actually have his spirit go into like different people to solve crimes or for mischief or whatever the hell. And I've been waiting for them to kind of bring him into the new next level, the new run of DC Comics, and so he finally came in last month, and the covers have been so sick. And the reason that I'm so excited for all this is because it's the same team who did Ice Cream Man, which I've talked about before. It's a graphic novel. It's X Maxwell Prince,
and the
who's
movie
a writer.
coming out soon as well.
And so he's taken on the task of writing for Dead Man, and with his mind already being so kind of fucked up and like it goes horror, and this is one of the first times where the Dead Man character is actually going in full like horror. Like he's had his own like mystic stuff in the DC and the House of Mystery and shit, but like it's really interesting to see him given Prince getting this property to do something with, and then Martin Morazzo doing the art is just perfect. And if you guys are into I don't know, anything that's sort of like where he gets commandeered by one of the Egyptian goddesses. I can't think of the name right now. And so that's where he is at this particular juncture now. Like he's been called up to serve a goddess. And it's, very spiritual, esoteric stuff. So if you're into any of that stuff and comics, definitely check out the new Dead Man.
Yeah. We had a couple, I came across a couple interesting comic book stories I had put in the last couple of episodes anticipating you joining us. So then when we got to them, I had no idea what I was talking about. So it's nice to have you back.
Sorry.
But yeah, so that's cool. And you also didn't you go? You hosted some panels at a couple
Oh,
of a
I
different.
did. I forgot that was the thing. Yeah, that because that was what's weird is like all of June I didn't do anything except for the last weekend I did. I was at Fan Expo Anaheim. It was the country or the state counties areas first Fan Expo in Anaheim. It was put together in 3 months. Some people were a lot of unhappy. There's a lot of disappointment with that. I personally had fun because it was I've been working with Fan Expo in Texas and the South for about 10 years. So being able just to do that out here, I got to chat with Greg Capullo, Mitch Gerards, Mark Brooks. I had an hour with Joe Quesada of Marvel and talked to him about that and his new series that he's doing, which is all based off of Shakespearean stories. And so he's taking that and making it into like a comic world. And I had a really cool writing panel that I was able to do with Tate Bromble was on there, who I really love as a horror writer. He's doing a lot of the stuff with Tiny Onion, and he had that crazy Western Everything Dead and Dying. So yes, thank you for reminding me because I did have that one exciting weekend where I was doing a lot of
Yeah,
comic stuff.
yeah. The pictures you shared on social looked really fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I had a good time. It was nice to kind of be back out there and just getting to talk comics. So yeah.
Right on. Right. If you want to follow Taffeta and see all these awesome things she gets to go do, what's your Instagram?
Oh, just at the Taffeta, darling.
Highly
TH.
recommend it. She's a
Thank
good
you.
follow.
It's
Yeah,
not too bad.
you post a lot of cool stories.
Most of it is stories. I just want to put this in here really quick, you guys. If you're not utilizing stories, you're missing out because I get about like it. I get enough views just from stories to where I don't have to worry about posting every day. Use your stories. That's all I'll say.
Nice. And you're doing social for us for some other notables too. So you're really good at that.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Peter.
Yes.
Wait, did you see anything cool? What you got?
Yeah, so it's almost ironic for me to talk about this because I had signed an NDA and I saw what will probably be my favorite movie of the year by one of my favorite directors who's not known for horror, and that's extendable. I'll say it. But even if I could talk about this movie, I wouldn't want to say anything. So, so there's something that's cool coming down the pipeline that I am not at liberty to talk about. But I was very thrilled when I saw this.
Nice. Well, mystery film. I'm looking forward to seeing
I know
you.
the anticipation is crazy.
I know, and I'm not gonna say it off. I can't talk about it at all. I did watch Fright Night 2, the original one. Actually, in
after
preparation.
our conversation last time.
Well, in preparation for this as well, and what there's actually a very interesting story behind that movie. Tommy Lee Wallace directed it, and he's kind of an underrated director. I think he did Halloween 3, and he did the original It series. But Fright Night 2 got the shaft when it came out because the guy who was in charge of distribution was the Menendez brothers' father who was killed right around that. So it like hit the theater barely and was pulled because they wanted distribution for video. So for most people who saw it, it just popped up like a straight to video kind of movie. So it actually had a theater run. And so I actually own the DVD, but there's a really good version of it on YouTube because it's not streaming, but someone uploaded like, I don't know if it's 4K or what. So it's like, you know what, let me rewatch this, and it's fun. It's probably not as good as the original, but it's very in that ballpark. Nice. It's probably a little less scary, I would say, but not in a bad way. Like it's still entertaining.
Funny. The first one wasn't scary at all.
So, as an adult, I think if you saw it as a
Chris
kid,
Sarandon has like a very like commanding sensual scariness about him throughout that movie. I think that's what it is with him. It's not so much like the scary like but the scary like eyes.
It's
for
fun.
like
They were fun movies.
So it's very much like that. It has Brian Thompson, who's always great in it, and it has I forget the guy's name, but he played the werewolf in Monster Squad as well, and he's in Real Genius. So it's just kind of a fun movie.
Nice.
And I finished Widow's Bay. I'll say that, but I won't say anything about that either.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, we're still in. We're like been lazy about setting up our new Apple Plus subscription because we were waiting for Heather's like a year-long prepayment of the other Apple services so we can get the bundle, and that just lapsed like at the end of the month, and I still haven't set it up. So I'm still like 3 or 4 episodes in. I think 4. But yeah, great so far. I'm sure. Did it wrap up good as well?
I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to say my thought on something as a possible spoiler because I'm so sensitive to that.
Right.
But yeah,
We'll
I
chat
enjoyed
about
it.
it after I'm done and offline, and then
Yeah, yeah,
you could
yeah.
share your thoughts.
Cool.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen all that much, but I did get about halfway through The Boys from County Hell, and I didn't not finish it because it wasn't good. But I fully intend on getting back to it as soon as I have a free evening. Which I honestly this week I have so much work. You know, you might be able to see I'm like super sunburned actually because I was
Yeah.
out filming at a World Cup watch party
Oh,
in
fun.
South Central in Compton yesterday all day yesterday,
I
and
love Compton.
yeah, it was
You
fun, but
do
it was
look like
like
you got sun.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
what I was like,
realize that till right now, but
Yeah, well,
man,
I thought you got, your haircut looks nice and you got a tan. I was like, well, look at
thanks.
him for July 4th doing his
Thanks.
thing.
Got to glow up. July glow
Yeah,
up.
literal.
Literally. Yeah. If you can't see the back of my neck, it's like I mean, I'm an official redneck at this point. But so Boys from County Hell, though, the first half I like already love. So I think it's going to be the whole thing's going to be good. It's on Shutter. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it on Shutter. So I read the description. I was like, this sounds pretty good. And basically, it's set in Ireland about a town that is believed to be the sort of birthplace of the very original ever described in history model on a vampire, Bram Stoker's specifically inspired Bram Stoker's Dracula. And this follows this young man who, you know, is kind of down on his luck, but he's kind of hired to make this bypass through his land. And supposedly the Dracula thing is buried underneath a cairn on the land. And that's the setup. That's not a spoiler because you'll know that within the first, 10, 15 minutes. But like, um, but yeah, so I just like the way it's made. It's like it's got a good vibe to it. It also kind of evokes American Werewolf in London a bit, actually.
I love the movie.
Oh, you
The
saw it?
open. Yeah, I saw it years
Yeah,
ago. I thought
cool.
the opening was fantastic. It just the tone reminded me kind of Lost Boys meets Return of the Living Dead. Like it's got a kind of fun, but it's still a little scary, not terrifying or anything. But when it
Yeah,
leans into horror, it like scratches a box for me.
yeah, awesome. Well, I think this week's going to be really fun. We're going to do a little, as the intro alluded to. We're going to play a game that we all know and love, at least here in the U.S., which is Fuck, Marry, Kill. Usually play, or when you're sitting around with your friends drinking a beer or something, and it's just going to be silly. And we're going to go through and apply it to the monsters of the horror and horror adjacent worlds. So I'm really interested to hear who you guys picked.
That's a good
It-
episode to return on. This is perfect.
yes, exactly. Totally.
My brain is still kind of mush. So talking about what monster I'd want to fuck, marry, or kill is perfect. It's a good way to return.
Totally. And let's be honest, this is what preoccupies my thoughts most of the time. So,
Exactly. 24/7.
But first, let's chat a little bit about what's going on in the horror and genre industry because there's actually quite a lot to talk about. The summer surprises keep coming. I'll start by mentioning that the full lineup at Fantasia has been announced, and Fantasia is going to be running, I believe, a couple of weeks from now. So we're getting pretty close to that. The website is now live and it's complete with over 125 features and 200 plus shorts, and they're all available to buy tickets for as of a couple days ago. And tickets will be on sale until I think the 15th. So some of the highlights are Nicholas Winding Refn will receive a Shovel Noir Career Achievement Award and also open his new film, Her Private Hell.
Been
And
there.
Takashi Shimizu, who is probably best known in the US for his first theatrical feature film, Ju-on the Grudge, which came out in 2002. They'll be presenting him with a Career Achievement Award as well as the North American premiere of his new film, The Mouths, and a global premiere of his newest film, Village of Eight. So you guys might look, if you're attending the festival, check those out. And there's also some other notable titles: Attack on Paradise, Permanent Damage, When You Open the Door, and Junction Row. So if you're going to Fantasia, which I don't think neither of you are, right?
Not this
No.
time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless they'd like to have us out. I mean, please invite us and we'll
Yes,
go.
yeah. Well, we'll be at. Let's commit now. We'll be at the next Fantasia,
Cool.
and
Yeah.
maybe we'll do a live show from Montreal. I'm saying that, but who knows really? But Peter's like, wait, what? What are you signing me up for?
Yeah. It's dreams, Peter. Jump on.
Or nightmares. I don't know.
Perfect.
Cool. So I've never actually been to Fantasia. Have either of you attended in the past, like in person?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I've never
No.
been to Canada, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, that's one I really want to check out. It sounds amazing, honestly. All right. So the next news article I'd like to discuss is we have a new Evil Burned clip that dropped a few days ago, and it's pretty interesting. And also, the first reactions from people who have seen the film have been rolling in. And I'm going to mention this a little on releases, but it comes out next weekend, so it's pretty soon. You could probably hold off on watching the clip unless you really want to take a peek, like I did. And I gotta say, it's pretty cool. It looks scary. The clip in question is kind of like a jump scare kind of moment, so don't be surprised about that. I don't think there's any spoilers in the clip, but did either of you see it? Check it
I've
out.
Not
seen
yet.
the trailer. I thought the trailer looked good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm definitely in with that, but I haven't seen anything recently in the past week or so.
Right. So we'll have that on our show notes for people to check out who want to. But it kind of dovetails with the first reactions, which are very promising. So Brad Miska from Judge Central went to an advanced screening that they hosted, I think in Canada and Toronto or something like that. And he said that Evil Dead Burn keeps all of that brutality of the Evil Dead series, but it's the first time since Army of Darkness that the film franchise really leans back into the absurdity. So it sounds like we're going back to like the classic kind of Evil Dead franchise, like its beginnings with Sam Raimi. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You're going to check it out?
I plan to. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. The director did that spider movie. I think it's called Infested. I like the energy of the movie. It's a little redundant because it's just like hordes of spiders in a apartment complex.
Is it in France? It's like in a French.
Yeah, it's a French movie. But seeing that applied to, like I liked the last Evil Dead Rise. So applied to that world, I think it could be very fascinating if it has like a really kinetic vibe to it. And what I've seen in the trailer, hopefully they weren't showing the best moments as they often do. But there's a couple really cool things in that I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that before. So I'm hoping it's really imaginative.
After watching the Mummy and finding out that that's kind of tied to like the Evil Dead stuff, I definitely want to keep watching the Evil Dead movies because now I've already watched the Mummy and I'm like, okay, well, this kind of goes back a bit and gives us a little bit more like character universe. So I'm gonna see how that ties in.
Yeah. And the Mummy just dropped on HBO Max this week, a couple days ago. Yeah, I want to check it out as well. I mean, I particularly like Army of Darkness 2. Is that what it's called? Evil Dead 2.
No, well, there's Evil Dead 2, then there's Army of Darkness.
Yeah, Evil Dead 2 is
Gotcha.
kind of like the redo,
the remake. as a
I've got more
comedy.
money for
It's been a while since I had to like get that right in my
redo it.
brain. But yeah, the second one, Army of Darkness, was like
Army of Darkness.
one of me and my friends' like favorite films, and in my early 20s. So
We've got the Skeleton Warriors, which is like a really nice nod to Ray Harryhausen and like that. Which I just watched Jason and the Argonauts like a couple of days ago. So
it's so similar.
I love Army of Darkness, and they're like Skeleton Warriors.
Yeah, man, and I mean Bruce Campbell. It's hard to beat Bruce Campbell. I hope they have the casting kind of like matches that. When it comes to the absurdity, he was just so good at that. So I did a little digging on the director Peter that you mentioned, and it's what's interesting is this is only his second feature film.
I think that doesn't surprise me.
So he had a short, at least on IMDb, as a short feature, Infested, in 2023, and then bam, doing an Evil Dead movie. So for all you aspiring horror filmmakers out there, it can happen, as we've seen time and time again this year. Great. So the next thing I'd love to bring up and get your guys' thoughts about, we also have another new beat. We have a behind the scenes clip from Pinocchio Unstrung. And the reason it's interesting is So it's like a 72-second clip, so very brief, but it shows what turns out to be an animatronic puppet of Pinocchio, like his face expressions moving and changing, and it's it's pretty dope. And I think a lot of people responded like positively to it because they were worried that Pinocchio was going to be CGI, but they're going practical. So
We love
uh,
practical. We love
yeah,
puppetry. Yeah.
exactly. So I hope Paul Lewis, who we had
I
on
know. Yay, Paul.
2 weeks ago or two episodes ago, uh, hopefully him or somebody that he knows is puppeteering that. So they also did release a clip, and what's really interesting about it, we see an adult and some kids go into an old room, dust off like a projector, and load up some Super 8 film, and kind of find this found footage of this, you know, old man essentially creating Pinocchio, but it's super gothic and dark, and like, rather than it being like, oh, a cute little puppet coming back to life, it's like this like horrific undead rising kind of experience. And I don't know, man. I didn't have this on my bingo cards of movies I was looking forward to, but now I'm like
Yeah.
kind of looking forward to it. So,
It's very Frankenstein creature, like he looks like he has been just like put together. And I think it would be a neat twist if he was put together by other little kids who were promised some sort or other puppets, of the past that were put together. I don't know. Now I'm being weird. But when I saw it, I was like, he looks like he's just like kind of sewn together with different parts that don't go together.
yeah.
So we'll see.
A little sort of relevant news to that is Shudder announced its July slate, and they're adding a lot of those like Winnie the Pooh horror movies, like 4 or 5 of them.
So
The
they've
open
already
IP.
bought Pinocchio.
Yeah, all those. So what's interesting to me is like personally, I don't want to be the guinea pig for those movies because I just see them at face value as like, hey, we're gonna use that to get a movie made and then turn it into a horror movie. But if Pinocchio ends up getting some buzz, then I will be very curious to check that out.
I mean, I'm certainly gonna probably put on some of those like Winnie Pooh, Blood and Honey and stuff, and just like at least start watching it, or at least skim it a little bit to see if it's worth the starting. Because I'm curious. I got a lot of curiosity. Let's put it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
All right, you guys can let me know.
But it's
Sounds
good background noise. It's good. Like I don't feel like I have to actually like get into the story, but I would want to watch it just to see like the creatures and the monsters and like the special effects and stuff they did to, I guess to glorify Winnie the Pooh.
No, I mean I am curious, but I've just not heard like the reviews have all been kind of what I've expected. So I'm like, I've definitely taken one for the team more times than I can count watching.
I'm on it. I've got it.
Certain horror movies. So
all right, we'll report back to you.
No shade, but
Yep, I'm all in for Winnie the Horror Pooh. I think that'll be great.
The next topic is that it's been announced that friend of the pod, Zach Kreger, and Brian Duffield are teaming up for a film based on Siren Head, which is apparently a viral horror meme created by the creature designer Trevor Henderson and popularized on the internet. Surprise, surprise. And it centers on a massive skeleton figure with 2 sirens for head. And it's a meme I'm not familiar with. But I think it's like a Gen Z thing, if I'm not mistaken, kind of like Slender Man. Or do you guys know anything about it?
it's creepy pasta, which I also feel like I'm too old for it. Like I think speaks to younger generations, but they're very popular from what I gather.
Right. And
The
this
kids
seems
love
to,
it.
yeah, it was like a bidding war, and it sounds like is largely driven by the success of Backrooms, which was also creepypasta, and other internet derived properties that have been like doing really well this year. So it's not surprising. They're like, let's go mine that Reddit for more story ideas because we have none of our own. So we all know who Zach Kreger is. Brian Duffield is you probably know who he is as well, but he's a successful writer and producer who's primarily a writer and producer, but has directed a few things. But his upcoming film Whalefall is really anticipated and supposedly going to be a hit. I guess it says 2 things. It says that Whalefall, I think they think it's going to be good and a success, and that he's probably like another up and coming director we got to keep our eye out on, although he's been around a long time, like I said, as a writer producer. He did, like, for instance, he was a producer on Cocaine Bear, probably one of the bigger things that I came across, but there's other things I recognize.
I think he wrote The Babysitter, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And he did
Yeah.
like that sci-fi alien silent movie that was on Hulu. I can't think of the title.
Yeah, I think
Um,
I saw that. Yeah.
He's as a writer, he's really good. He's very proficient. One line of action type writer. It's worth reading his writing if you are a screenwriter.
So that's an exciting development. It's, just announced that they're going to be doing this. It's probably not going to come out for, you know, a year or two. I mean, probably more like 2 or 3. But it has a pretty good team. So that's exciting. And yeah, so what also is exciting about it, it reportedly it was bought at auction, meaning like a bidding war in the 7 figures range. And so that really is showing, I think, how studios are embracing horror now with the success of Obsession and in the back room. So I think like this could be horror's moment. We might be living in the golden age of horror for all we
Feels
know. I
like we
mean,
are,
we'll see. We'll see.
especially with weapons. I felt like that just went like real mainstream and blew everything up with the actors and getting like an actual
Yep.
story just focused on her.
I'm
Good
the
stuff.
curmudgeon that will push back on that. I'm glad that genre is doing well. But I'm like, I have other movies grandfathered in that I was like, that was the golden age of the horror movies
Yeah.
I liked.
Well,
But you
that's
see
a tricky term, golden age. I meant it more just like in
Modern
terms of
the gold rush of horror.
a lot of people said that the 2010s were the golden age of documentary filmmaking because it was the first time like the technology caught up with the ability to tell interesting stories in a way because before film was like so expensive you couldn't just let it roll all the time and then video camera just looked awful so it wasn't cinematic. But
Right.
then finally video became cinematic so you could let it roll and capture like these like, you know, uh moments that you could never really capture before and create really interesting stories just by like following people around in a way you couldn't before. So, but a lot of other people say the golden age of documentaries was, who knows, maybe like in the 70s or something like that. So, it just depends on how you define it.
But I mean, like, if they're dropping 7 figures on that, I'm like, man, they could do like $100 million movies with, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is also frustrating that they go splurge on one project as opposed to bring up like 20, where like 5 of them will probably be amazing. You know what I mean?
Well, I wonder if that 7 figures is the total budget or what they pay, like just paid for the rights. My guess is it's some kind of whole budget thing because that's a lot of money to
Yeah,
pay for rights for
it
a
certainly
film.
is, man. And
Yeah.
like you then speaks to Obsession, which was made for under $1 million. It's like you're going in the opposite direction on dropping that much on a horse. I mean, granted, you have like Zach and Brian doing this, so it'll probably be good. But it's just interesting
Yeah.
to
Well,
look
I
at it that
mean,
way.
when you're talking about a giant siren head, I could see it being the kind of film that requires a bigger budget. Just like I mean, depending on how you do that, it's
Right. Yeah, I mean,
any version of it that's good is going to be expensive, basically. So apparently, Lionsgate has set a date for the new Blair Witch Project film, which won't be until September 2027. So you have time to decide whether or not you're going to go spend your money on it. And hopefully, they'll release some stuff that is encouraging between now and then.
I'm a fan of the franchise. I'm gonna go check it out. I'm not an apologist for Blair Witch 2, but I watch it. It's one of those ones that it's up there with Deep Blue Sea. Like if it's on TV, I'm like, I know it's gonna happen. So I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, I probably will too. I think like films in general are better, so I think it's the likelihood that it's going to be at least all right to good is a lot higher than the Blair Witch Project too.
Yeah, the
Um,
first one was great. Like I love the first one.
yeah,
And the second one, it's okay. But yeah, I'm into the franchise, so I'll check it out.
They remade it too, didn't they? Like 10 years ago. Or
yeah. I
something
think there
like that?
was some other film.
There's another one that's more recent. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah, me neither. But this is going to be with through James Blunt and James Wan, and their Blumhouse and Atomic Monster, respectively. So they're going to oversee production. I'm not entirely sure who's directing it. Do you guys know? I think it came up in a previous episode we did.
Actually, that sounds familiar. I don't
but
remember who
Yeah,
you
I
had
forgot off
said.
the top of my head. So some other exciting news for I think Taffety are with me on this one, maybe Peter. But it's been announced that the X-Files pilot has finished filming. So we know they at least made a pilot. But the downside is that also indicates they haven't ordered it to series entirely yet.
Yeah.
So hopefully
Fingers
it's good
crossed.
and hopefully they do. And, just to refresh the audience's memory, this is the series that is being created by Ryan Coogler
Yeah.
with Chris Carter, the original creator of The X-Files. And some of the stars joining them for the first episode. So the Mulder and Scully characters are being played by Danielle Deadweiler and Himesh Patel. But the guest stars, apparently, for this first episode is Amy Madigan, Steve Buscemi, Ben Foster, who was in 30 Days of Night, Devery Jacobs from Blood Quantum in the Order, Lachlan Monroe from Betty vs. Jason Scary Movie, Tattoo Cardinal from The Last Manhunt and Legends of the Fall, Joel Montgrand from Finality of Dusk and Dark Winds, and Sophie Grace Clifton from Rabbit Hole and The Morrow. So, I mean, that's like a pretty stellar lineup of.
Yeah. Who's going to say no to that and why, if he did?
Here's the thing that I was a little confused on when putting this together, which is the article I read sort of implied that they're all in the pilot because they've made a pilot, but that's a lot of star power for one pilot. So I'm kind of wondering if they are actually maybe going to order it to series and these are the stars they've got cast.
For the extra ones, yeah. Because usually it does focus around one, maybe two, like guest stars. It's like the baddie or the creepy or the sci-fi alien or something.
Exactly. Peter, are you interested?
I mean, maybe. Well, it depends where it's streaming, I guess. Like if it's on TV, I don't remember the last time I watched TV proper. If it's on a network,
I believe it was on Fox in the 90s.
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was on Fox.
Yeah, I feel like everything's streaming.
Didn't they do the X-Files, or maybe it was a Twilight Zone? I can't. No, because Tim Armstrong was on a X-Files in the 2019 or something.
Tim Armstrong from Rancid.
Rancid, yeah. Andy was on a Twilight Zone episode that was on Peele's version, one of those. But I don't remember. I don't think I saw the X-Files because I think it was, or I think it was X-Files. Wherever one of them was, I don't think streaming, so I didn't end up seeing it.
Gotcha. Yeah, the X-Files was on Netflix for a while, but I don't know where you could watch it anymore. But it's a classic, guys. I went back and revisited it when it was on Netflix, and not every episode's a banger, but when they hit, they hit.
Yeah, it's still comfort. It's a comfort program that I can put on in the background while I'm doing stuff for noise and enjoy, or something I can put on like while I'm falling asleep and going to bed. I that was like my routine back in the late mid-90s. Love it.
Yeah. So moving on, apparently it's been announced that Steve Spielberg is set to produce a feature adaptation of YouTube horror series, The Mandela Catalog, which I wasn't familiar with either. So this is a new one, but this is another one in the trend of, internet properties now being picked up by studios in the aftermath of Obsession and Backrooms, and also, what was the Blood Ocean one?
Iron Lung.
Iron Lung. Yeah. So continuing on in that trend, Steven Spielberg and Amblin. So it was United artist Scott Stuber, Spielberg with Amblin and MGM. They all got together to purchase this property. And apparently it's a viral YouTube horror series, which honestly I wasn't aware of, which I'm a little embarrassed by since I do spend a lot of time on YouTube. It was launched in 2021, and Mandela Catalog is set in the fictional Mandela County, Wisconsin, which is invaded by shape-shifting, nearly immortal creatures called alternates. So the premise sounds like it could be interesting, though. Yeah. Were you guys familiar with it at all?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I feel like sometimes I'm a little too old for this stuff. I'm like, what is this? And I go watch it. I'm like, oh, that's why I missed it. No shade, but sometimes my old age keeps me from seeing things.
So that's kind of creepypasta as well.
This is a little more like Backrooms, Backrooms was first based on creepypasta, but it was like, the YouTube series. I think it's just kind of a YouTube series, but I don't know how the origin story of the YouTube series, what I have read didn't get into that, but it'd be interesting to find out.
I mean, I will say, like, not knowing what these things are kind of makes it more interesting to me. you know, because then I don't have like something to judge it against. It's just like, oh, okay, what is this?
Yeah. So I totally agree with that.
That kind of fascinates me.
Well, and the last news thing I wanted to talk about to wrap up my bit here, unless either of you have anything to add on at the end, but you're probably both aware of this. But for those listening at home, maybe you're not. But the 2026 Fangoria Chainsaw Awards have been revealed, and you can vote starting now. So they've announced nominees for this year's Chainsaw Awards, and voting is running from July 2nd, a few days ago, to until July 15th. And leading this year's nominations are 28 Years Later, Bone Temple, Dust Bunny, and they both have 9 nominations, and followed with Backrooms with 6, The Bride, Frankenstein, and Hokum each have 5, and Obsession picked up 4. So if you want to have your voice heard in who gets to win this year's Fangoria's Chainsaw War, run, don't walk over to their website and get your votes in. You guys gonna vote?
If I remember, maybe.
Yeah, it's like
Like I'm not.
That's the
it's not
motivation.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't put
it's
this
cool
in
that.
Jesus.
Yeah, we are
No.
awful, huh? I mean, like awards are cool for those involved, but it's not like whatever wins becomes the best horror movie. That you know, like I don't. It's just kind of a weird exercise in a way.
Yeah. I mean, I see it as I hear everything you're saying. And as some, having made a few documentaries and like gone through the whole thing of like dozens of festivals where they're giving out awards and like, not winning most of them, sometimes winning some, you really start to like become zen about it, I think. And you realize like it's all so subjective. Like any one of these films that are nominated for Best Picture of the Year, probably you could make an argument of why it deserves to win. It's very real in what it means for your career, but it's less real in what it actually means,
Right.
But
Yeah.
the zen part about what I've kind of come to though is like it's really just a way to celebrate cinema and like, do what we're doing as podcasters, which is like try to hash out like what's the best this and what's the best that. And like obviously there's no clear winner, but it's kind of fun to like check the pulse of like what everybody's vibing on.
Well, it's also, I feel like they should do that at the end of the year because there's a bunch of movies that'll come out, September, October, November. They just kind of, I guess, get bumped to next year.
But if you think about it, the horror year kind of starts in the fall, because everyone's releasing things for
right. That's
Halloween.
True.
And so that could be why, there's different reasons they do. Emmys are at the end of are where they are because it's like traditionally there was like the fall season and the spring season. And so I think that they were like waiting till the spring season, so they could like honor movies that came out in either, because it's kind of like on the school year calendar, whereas the Academy Awards, it is like the calendar year. So like,
I think when you're younger, it's probably more exciting, for something like that, because your taste may be validated or something.
Yeah. Well, and for the people in the industry too, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who worked on these or have friends that worked on them that aren't necessarily being nominated for the award, but they're like
part of it.
Yeah, they're part of it. And they want to know like what's up and what's down, who's winning right now and who's not. I'm just going to be a defender because growing up, I would always watch the Academy Awards and be like, someday.
I'm sure it's like inspired people to want to make movies, these kind of award ceremonies. They left an impression when you're younger.
For sure.
Like I'm all for award ceremonies. I just don't want to vote. That's all.
It is like feel like a homework assignment,
Yes.
I also don't think that giving awards based on audience voting is a good thing, because I mean it's one thing if you can confirm that the person has seen it, and or like at a film festival, you when they do audience choice awards, they know that you bought a ticket, and so that's how you can vote for it. But like if you're just voting, like there's all sorts of ways to potentially unfairly rig it, and like also it's a self-selective thing. Like there might be tons of people who liked it, but now just don't have the time like you to go fill out the vote. It just seems like a way to drum traffic.
Simple. Just go fill it out.
To me, I think the best way to honor horror movies is if like someone dresses up as a character for Halloween, or someone gets it tattooed, or Fright Rag makes a t-shirt. Like all that stuff I think is very cool.
Yeah.
More so than an award ceremony. But that's just me.
One interesting thing though is at least I don't know if it was last year or the year before, potentially last year as well. They actually filmed the Fangoria Chainsaw Awards in the same room that we shot our short film,
Yep.
Last Call. So that's a little interesting tie-in with us. We had nothing to do with it, but I think we used some of the flats that they use for their set, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. I've heard
That
that
might have-
story.
No, I
Yeah.
think that's from the film that was used. That was
I
shot
know,
there.
but I think then they might have used them
It's possible.
after that. I don't know. Yeah,
Mhm.
they originally originated with Jimmy and Stiggs. That film.
Right. That's the name of the movie.
Yeah. Great. Well, that brings us to the end of the news section. Did you guys have any news that you wanted to relay?
So I've mentioned Daniel Saplinski on here before. He's a friend of ours, and he sent me the trailer for The Wait, which has Ethan Hawke and Russell Crowe, and the trailer looks great. It's like set, I think, in Oregon. I don't know if it's during or after the gold rush, but basically Ethan Hawke, I think he's like a convict or something, and he has a daughter he's trying to do time for so he can see her. And Russell Crowe's like, hey, if you take this gold, you and a bunch of people get it across these mountains to wherever, you'll get your freedom so you can see your daughter. And of course, if he's going on this quest with it, a bunch of people are going to try and kill them for the gold. So I like watched the trailer and I was like, shit, this reminds me of the William Friedkin movie Sorcerer. And then, of course, there's a wooden bridge in the shot. And I was like, there it is. But it also kind of reminds me of Cutthroat's 9, which I've mentioned, so
yeah. It's a cool concept, honestly.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for those type of concepts. So
Yeah.
the trailer looks really great. It's called The Wait, and it comes out in September.
Yeah, I was scrolling through YouTube as I do often, and they kept trying to serve me that trailer, and I was like curious each time I saw it, but I kept like being like, it's probably like some historical drama or something.
Right. Fair enough, but no, it looks great. I'm curious about that one.
Right on.
Also, we saw the new Robert Eggers werewolf. We got a first look at William fucking Dafoe.
Damn, I
and
had
his
that.
fucking like werewolf. My goodness.
Yeah, why
That
don't you
comes
talk
out
about?
at
I totally meant to put that in the news, but
Yeah.
it's based on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
what
no,
we
that
want to
comes
talk
out
about?
Christmas Day. I'm fucking stoked for that. Like, I am a huge fan of like, late age Willem Dafoe. I mean, he's always been kind of batshit, but like between The Lighthouse and like, after The Lighthouse, I was like, I'm in.
Yes.
Give me more of this. And just he's got that demeanor and he's got that perfect sinister like face. And so those images that came out of him, I was like, oh, because I'm a huge fan of werewolves and lichens, and that just really hit right here. And I was like, I'm in.
I know it looks so good, and it has that kind of lighthouse,
His gothic period.
cinematic look to it. It's like desaturated, shot in a Academy format or something like that on film.
I'm curious if there's going to be subtitles, because I was hearing that it's like Middle English or something, which is like, the witch was kind of tricky to understand and discern everything they're saying because the dialogue was so authentic to the time. And I don't know if he's like doubling down on that. So I'm curious, but William Dafoe also has a great voice.
Yeah. Like he was saying that it's supposed to be like his darkest and most like brutal by far movie that he's done. And I'm like, we've done some pretty, like, even like The Northman was pretty fucked up. Like, I mean, that wasn't like horror, but there was still a lot of brutality in that. So if you're going to say that like your next movie, which is going to be based off a werewolf, it's going to be more than that. And it's going to have a lot of more like medieval folklore. Oh my God. Like werewolf lore is by far one of my favorite things to get in a movie. So
I think it's all practical too. So practical werewolves, when done right, are very exciting to see.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I the way that they did it, I think it was perfect. The way, because like they, the temptation is to use CGI and show the whole thing, but the way that they kind of like played with the lighting and stuff to kind of give it that eerie look, just on the glimpses we saw, I think is like the right way to do a werewolf transformation. It's like a little more like along the lines of American Werewolf in Paris, and that was pretty great at the time.
Yeah, so
in
it was
London.
I like the Paris one too, but that's a little more, I guess.
Yeah,
It's a little
Brad
modern.
London though. Yeah,
I know.
You mentioned something about the dialogue. Apparently, it is going to be in like the 1300s Middle English, and they had like two Oxford professors, I guess, help them do the dialogue to make sure it's entirely set and true to the 1300s Middle Ages, including like pronunciation and shit like that. So
Cool.
maybe they will have that as
Yeah.
from captions for those of us who are like, huh?
Us dummies.
Yeah.
Well, I have a fun Willem Dafoe story. When I was living here, I lived here one time in Los Angeles back in like 2001 to 2002 timeframe. And I was eating at this like really trendy vegan restaurant called Real Foods Daily on La Cienega, which I'm not even sure is there anymore. Might be, but there's like a patio and an inside and just plate glass window between the two, and there's a table on each side of the window. And I was on the outside on the patio eating my breakfast, and I'm like right next to me on the other side of the glass was Willem Dafoe. So I basically was sitting next to Willem Dafoe, but we just had like a inch thick piece of glass between us.
Just an inch. That's it.
It's all that separated me and Willem Dafoe. So,
Mm,
he was probably grateful for it.
Well, I'm grateful we'll get to see him as a werewolf. I'm stoked.
Hell yeah. Yeah. All right. Just to go over a few releases in the genre space coming this week, the weekend of June 10th, the big release of Evil Dead Burn is finally upon us. When that is from director Sebastian Vanacek, who did Infested, as we mentioned earlier in the episode. And it's written by his writing partner from Infested, Florent Bernard, him, as well as Sam Raimi, who I wonder how much input he had on the script. He's listed second, so it seems like maybe a significant amount. And it stars Hunter Doohan from Wednesday, Daredevil Born Again, Lucian Buchanan from Sweet Tooth and The Night Agent, and Suhaila Jukokara Zorel, who I had probably butchered that name. I apologize. And the short synopsis is that after the loss of her husband, a woman seeks solace with her in-laws. As one by one they transform into deadites, she comes to discover that the vows she took in life survive even in death. Dun, dun, dun. So check that out. We have a thriller, which I think is actually more of an erotic thriller called Night Nurse that is also being released. And that is written and directed by Georgia Bernstein, who did Honeycomb. No. That was a typo. So it's written and directed by Georgia Bernstein, and it stars Camry Paxsoy, Bruce McKenzie, who was in As in the Wood and Cowboys Against the... No, this is all wrong. Let me start this whole one over again. Getting sloppy with my notes here. All right. So we also are getting a thriller, which I think is an erotic thriller, but I'm not entirely sure. It kind of has that vibe in the trailer. It's written and directed. It's called Night Nurse, and it's written and directed by Georgia Bernstein, and it stars Camry Paxsoy and Bruce McKenzie and Eleanor Hendricks. And the logline is, as a series of perverse spam calls unsettle an idyllic retirement community, the starry-eyed nurse becomes entangled with her mysterious patient. And from the trailer, it kind of looks like the nurse is, she's the overnight nurse taking care of an elderly man, and they have some kind of kink play that involves spam calls and him like, it seems like touching her while she's taking these threatening phone calls or something like that. I don't know. But I guess erotic thrillers are making a comeback. It was at a bunch of prominent festivals, so it might be a good one. Who knows? And the following weekend, the weekend of July 17th. I said June 10th the first time. It was actually supposed to be July 10th. So coming the weekend after that, July 17th, the only thing of note is The Odyssey, which that's probably for a reason, because I imagine the studios think that The Odyssey is they don't want to put a film up against The Odyssey, probably.
Right.
I'm stoked for that. I love the book. I love that time period. I love the fantasy of it all. I cannot wait.
Totally agree. And, it's Christopher Nolan. This probably needs no introduction, but Christopher Nolan writing and directing, which is what's funny is he's co-credited on writing with Homer which I think is hilarious.
Right, I saw that.
So Homer has like an IMDb page now, I guess.
Now kids can go see this and don't have to read the book.
Yeah, I'm sure
It's going to be just as good.
Yep. And it stars Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, just some unknown actors that are up and coming. The logline is, after the Trojan War, Odysseus faces the dangerous voyage back to Ithaca, meeting creatures like the Cyclops, Polyphemus, Sirens, and Calypso along the way. So
I love all those characters.
yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be so great. And also, there's a lot of controversy. You guys vibes on the controversy?
I don't really care. Someone who gets invited as a fan, and I hate using the word influencer or content creator that gets invited to these movies. I've been going to these movies since I've been writing blogs, for like 20 something years. And it's just kind of evolved into, now it's just based on social stuff, which necessarily isn't something that I agree with, because when you're going to social stuff, it's based off of likes and follows and stuff like that, which is all that can be actually like, forged. I think if you have like a steady habit of having these people come out, then maybe some people will be pissed off. Long story short, I really don't care.
Yeah, you're referring specifically to the
I'm
controversy around them hosting a influencer screening that fans thought was organic but wasn't actually.
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
But then they said they weren't going to offer any like advanced screenings, because usually big studios offer advanced screenings, like either to fans or to influencers, something like 3 to 4 weeks in advance, and they're not doing that this time around. He said he's not going to do that. Just when it releases, that's it. So I think that's
there's been a whole debate about that going on, because some people think it essentially, even if the influencers aren't paid to be there, they're going to speak more favorably about it, than they would have otherwise, potentially, because, they were charmed. Usually they're given some like swag and some other things. And so now some films are pushing back on that by not doing advanced screenings. And it's been a interesting debate amongst critics and fans, I suppose. But there's also been the debate around casting of, what's her name? Cleopatra, I think, who's not Cleopatra, who's the queen or the princess or whatever. And
it's been a minute since I read the Odyssey.
Yeah, Helen of Troy.
Okay.
There's been some controversy. I think she's, I should know more about this, but I believe they cast somebody who's of color, and so people have been mad about that or something.
The thing about any of these, like, people are always going to have something to complain about. If it's not that, it's going to be this. It's like, just see the movie and then judge it.
Right. And then there's the whole accent thing where they all just have like American accents, and people are like, well, that's not authentic. And it's like, neither are British accents. So like, what are you going to do? But yeah, I'm interested to check it out. I have reservations because I'm not a big Nolan fan like most people are. But I still watch his movies because I think he's a brilliant director. I just personally not as big of a fan of his writing. Like sometimes I think he kind of indulges a little bit too much. That's just my personal take. But I do, like you said, Taffeta, I love the Odyssey as like a story. In fact, my cat, before the cat I have now, was named Menelaus.
Cute.
Yeah, very, very much a fan.
I will say what else Shudder is releasing is on July 17th, Exit 8 comes out, and that looks pretty badass. I missed that in the theater. It's like this guy's trapped in a subway trying to get out. I don't know if it's like a loop or something, and he's got to figure out how to do it. Sort of liminal like the Backrooms, but it's also based on a video game, and it has been pretty well received. So I'm curious. And a favorite of mine, it comes out on July 27th, which is Cutthroats 9, which is a 70s OG horror Western. It's clever, it's gory, it's feral. It's what Quentin Tarantino leaned in heavily for The Hateful Eight. But this is just one of those thrill rides where it's like, after bandits attack a wagon transporting prisoners, a sergeant and his daughter must trek through the harsh snow-covered terrain to get 7 sadistic convicts to their destination. And yeah, it's flown under the radar for a very long time. So I'm excited that people will actually get a chance to see it. Though it's also on Tubi, so you can see it now if that sounds interesting to you. But cool. Shudder definitely will put it in front of horror heads.
Nice. Well, that brings us to the end of news and releases. And now we can get in the main topic, which I think is going to be very fun. I would like to say from the outset, this is going to be a very adult, more than likely, conversation. So if you have kids,
I
They
thought
shouldn't
you
be
were
listening
kidding.
anyways.
I don't think it's going to be an adult topic, but I don't think we're going to be very adult about it.
well, there might be some like, curse words and things like that. I'm just saying like it's gonna be a little bit more. I mean, the name of the game is Fuck, Marry, Kill. So
It's gonna be more raunchy.
yeah, so it'll be a little more raunchy than usual. But it'll be fun. It's the day after 4th of July. I'm sure you're all hungover, or a lot of you are. Maybe you're drinking a beer, smoking a joint, whatever. No judgment here. In fact, it's probably going to enhance the conversation. We just decided to keep it light. And so we're going to play a game that most of us in the US, I think, have played probably when we were younger, some of us as adults, and that's Fuck, Marry, Kill. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to go around and we're going to each talk about, first who we would like to fuck, then second, who we want to marry, and then lastly, who we want to kill. And these are all monsters from horror or other kind of horror adjacent genres. And to kick us off, I'm going to put Taffeta on the spot.
Cool.
Taffeta, who would you like to fuck?
Okay, so let me just preface this by saying that I am drawn to, esoteric, as I mentioned with Dead Men. I love that weird shit. I'm gonna try to fuck Sutter Kane. I figure he's a fucking writer. I love writer. He's got some good words. He's got some good poetry. I'm sure he's in there. And, he is in league with the Elder Ones. And so I can only imagine the primal, carnal fucking that would happen with something that this old. I do read Sutter Kane, and I'd like to see Sutter Kane naked.
Oh,
That's
all right.
my
When
other.
when was your first awakening to this? Like, is this something that you like since the first time, you ever saw?
Well,
What was the name of that film again?
In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness, or is this like a more recent realization?
Well, I kind of was starting, at the same time, he's also, he can manipulate minds. So, I'm sure he could put us in any scenario and it'd be great. I really love this movie. But one of the first people in this movie that I was I've been attracted to Sam Neill for like ever. I think Sam Neill's such a babe. I think he's great. So for the longest time, it was, hey, maybe Sam Neill. But when
As a hetero, I have a hetero crush on him. Let's put it that way.
He's great. Like Event Horizon, like Dr. Weir.
Yeah.
Jesus, like let's throw Dr. Weir in there. I've got a thing for weird things. But
it's daddy issues.
You're not wrong. Jesus Christ. But when I started really thinking about this, my first go-to was Dracula. I was like, well, that's so basic. Of course, everyone wants to fuck Dracula. It's Dracula. So I started going into like more of a deeper lore of like where I would probably have like a more like existential, like, crazy connection with. And I think with Sutter Kane's ability to, control me and whatever else, it'd be a good time. So
yes, right. So you're like a dominant kind of.
I don't have to worry about any of this after it's over. I have a feeling he could also wipe my mind and be like, cool. See you later.
All right.
He might write a book about you.
Yeah.
And that, in the end, is the main goal. I like being a muse, and I think it would be fun to be part of his crazy Sutter World paintings. I would not want to be an old lady killing my husband at a motel, but I think I'd be cool with just being trapped in a painting forever, because then I wouldn't have to worry about shit.
Yeah. All right. Well
That's
said.
where I'm
Well
at.
said. Yeah. Here.
Sutter Kane.
Sutter Kane. All right. Well.
Flutter Kane.
Sutter Kane.
All right. I guess I'll go next, and Peter, you can bring up the rear.
Right.
So I went along the same lines as you in a way. I was like imagining like what, like, in the fuck category, like the whole idea, right, is like it's like you're just there to explore your carnal side. And for me, like, what's more carnal than fucking the Canabites from The Exorcist? Because, think about it. Just take one look at them and these guys fuck. They're leather daddies with a serious BDSM kink. Like, I'm not saying I'm like typically into BDSM, because I'm not really. But if I'm honest, if my soul has to be devoured by someone, resulting in like eternal pain and suffering, then like let's make it like a tribe of sexy leather wielding BDSM like terror people. You know?
I love it.
You also have the Cenobites if you want to go that route.
Sorry, I said the Catabites. I meant the Cenobites.
Hellraiser.
Yes. And what did I say?
You said Exorcist.
Fuck me. Let's start this all over again.
No, keep that in there.
Yeah, that's kind of great. Because I was like, yeah, wait, what?
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to leave that in because like that's my shame. So anyways, that's all to say that like, you know, I think it would be a crazy new exploration for me. And you know, if it's the end of my life, then like let's do it right, you know? And just as long as they practice aftercare, which is very important in BDSM play sessions, from what I've heard. I don't think they'll do that, but
I'm not really sure that that's what you're going to get from them. But I agree with everything else because I feel like they'll be like, all right, bye. And then they're gone.
Totally. And meanwhile, I got like one arm on one hook and like a foot on the floor, you know?
Yeah. Like you got this, right? You want to clean up? Cool.
Yeah. Cool. So Peter, all right, buddy.
Yeah. So
what you got for us?
That actually crossed my mind too. That there is one female Cenobite, right?
There is, yeah.
Yeah, when I was thinking about this, I'm like, man, all right. It's like the horror icons are all dudes, but I was like, you know, if I was a girl or if I was gay, I was like, Jason and Michael would be great because they wear masks, you know, and they're silent, you know, like
the strong silent type.
So you don't have to like see Freddy Krueger's a whole different beast. But I mean, all right, we've all fucked a monster, right? So this is old hat, or perhaps we were the monster someone else fucked. But yeah, so I have a few, I guess I should say, because I feel like I'd get rejected by one and then on to the next, you know. So I almost want to say Santanico Pandemonium, which we all know from Dusk Till Dawn. She's got the snake, she's all that. But man, as soon as she turns into that like fucking bald-headed reptile-looking Hordak, you know, that's a mood killer. I don't know if I could go through with it.
Totally.
At that point,
there's a whole genre of like sexy women who turn into things and they like lure people in, and I was like so tempted, like you. In fact, that was one of the ones that crossed my mind to like pick someone like that, but it just seemed like
those sirens will get you.
Woman. Yeah,
right. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there is she from Cemetery Man. She's a grieving widow and turns zombie. Very beautiful. So maybe she could use a company. Even as a zombie, you're like, yeah, beautiful. But if she turns me down, then I would go for Julie from Return of the Living Dead. She likes to break and enter. She's passionate. When she's a zombie, she's piercing all over. You know, just like troublemaker. Just looks like she'd be fun. And if I was on my like deathbed, I'd be like, yo, Space Girl from Life Force. She just walks around naked, and you know, if you kiss her, she sucks your soul out essentially. So.
Whoa.
You know, that'd be a good way to go out, right? With her. So
I'm really surprised I didn't hear any Leanna quickly from you, like especially from Night of the Demons. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, because she got that.
Is that too basic?
Yeah. I mean, that's like when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably my sexual awakening.
Little glimpse into Peter's sexual awakening.
Because I know you really are fond of her, so I was like,
of course.
There's no Night of the Demons.
I hadn't really put too much thought into it in like a real way.
Return of the Living Dead.
Part 3, man. It's just look at the cover and you'll know exactly why. Punk rock zombie chick. Like, yeah, let's go with piercings everywhere.
And she really likes fine dining. She has a taste for you know, hard to procure things to eat like brains.
Yeah. Well, no, it's flesh, man. The thing is, she's like trying to numb the pain. She's piercing her whole body. Because that's like, you know, so she doesn't feed on people. It's kind of
she's got daddy
story.
issues too.
So yeah, those would be. I think that would be my order.
Nice
for that.
All right, cool. Well, those were great ones, guys. This category is gonna be fun too. I think. Out of all the creatures in the MonsterVerse, who would you marry? Let's go in the same order. Taffeta.
Larry Talbot, the Wolfman. They're going all in. I mentioned the Lycans earlier, you know, but maybe not so much, you know, him. Also, we have Michael Sheen as Lucian in Underworld. My goodness. I mean, he's a pretty good werewolf.
Yeah. So was the, in fact, the star, the girl in Underworld. is also
Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, is it?
No, she's
I
a
think
vampire.
I'm thinking of the
Yeah.
same movie. Yeah, the vampire from Underworld, right? Is like
Yeah.
a dark character. I don't think it's Kate Beckinsale though, is it?
No, it is. That's that
Is it?
actress
Oh,
who
damn.
plays
Oh,
her.
yeah. Well, anyways, yeah.
Well, it
she's
depends. I
cute, too.
think that there's another Rona Misha might have played her role in like the sequel, and they look very similar.
Oh, interesting.
But Kate Beckinsale, I think, is like the OG.
Kate Beckinsale is an attractive woman. Let's be
Oh
honest.
yeah, for sure.
Cool. Good choice. Good choice.
Just
yeah. So you like hairy guys? It sounds like.
I've always really liked werewolves. In the debate against all the Universal monsters, the Wolfman's my favorite. When it comes down to Monster Squad, I love the Wolfman. Like I don't know, I like the beast, but there's something really endearing and poignant about a man who realizes how fucked up he's about to be at the end of the month and has no control over it and does everything he possibly can to be better and to get rid of it and to stay away from everybody. But despite his own human instinct of free will, there's that primal, raw, fucking wolf in him that's like, oh no, we going out, we're going to do some shit. So
right. It's like a hyper masculine
yeah
person, but with like a vulnerable side.
So I felt like I would get both.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I look for in a partner, is to have both sides of that, primal man, but also like, the sensitive stuff. And I think Larry Talbot's a very good case for that. He's permanently cursed. And it goes on not only in The Wolfman, but in House of, Dracula. He still, plays the Wolfman, and he's still desperately trying to fix himself and, stay away from women, and the women love him. He's like, no, I'm cursed, and they chase after him. So I think if I had the chance to marry Larry Talbot, I would.
Taffy, we got are you like a budding romantasy reader or writer?
I mean, I have thoughts.
Nice.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, for me, this is a little bit of a curveball perhaps, but I think I would marry the alien queen from Aliens. Hear me out.
Yeah. Nope.
Hear me out.
Sold.
She's strong. She's powerful. She, has a great deal of responsibility in her life, and she handles it with grace, So she has to care for a whole hive and provide it with food, even on these like remote, planetary rocks in the middle of deep space, which don't seem to have any life on them at all, So she's trying to find food and support her hive on these barren wastelands. And meanwhile, everyone's out to kill her. Yet she is just a badass, and she defends her young. Speaking of young, I think the main reason I'd want to marry her is she would provide me with an heir. And not just any, not just one, but probably thousands of them. So like, my bloodline will be carried on. And I may not survive. Yeah, exactly. And while I might not survive the marriage, I don't know if that's that big of a problem, because I feel like that's most marriages, if I'm being honest, like you never leave unscathed. So I think I'd take the risk.
I'm for that, because I think you're right. I think she's shown time and again that she will do whatever she can to make sure that she mates and she provides an heir. And
Right.
I think that would be a very lovely Chris alien baby. I'd like
Thank
to
you.
see that.
Thank you. Not to mention it's kind of got like a tentacle, thing going on, which could
Yeah.
be fun. I don't
We
know.
listen and we don't judge.
Do in any of the Alien movies, do they show her mate?
That's a good question. I actually haven't seen Romulus yet.
There's a lot of property IPs for
Yeah.
Alien.
I think maybe in some of the old Dark Horse comics, there might be something similar to that, but I don't, in the movies, like in the main ones, I can't think of that. And in Romulus, I don't think either.
Yeah.
'Cause,
No.
Christopher, what you're saying is all very true. That crossed my mind as well. But then
Oh,
I was thinking, I was like, she strikes me as a type that would kill her mate afterwards.
Exactly.
Like,
That's kind of what I was worried about
That's
when
praying mantis style. That's that's what she goes.
yeah, she's kind of insect like.
But like I said, it's like you could have that same problem in any marriage. So it's really you got to enter with trust.
That's fair.
But yeah. So Peter, how about you? Who are you interested in
So
marrying?
I think my first choice would be Regine Dandridge and that's why I watched Fright Night too. Because I was like, thinking what would I, who would I marry as a horror villain? So she's like centuries old as a vampire, so she's rich. She's pretty stunning. It's kind of hot when her eyes go yellow. She's smart. She throws parties. She's into performance art and seduction. She has like a posse, so she has a Renfield who could do all the bullshit around the house. It's like taxes. I'd be like, yo, Renfield, you get to do this. And she's also bisexual, so she could invite some friends over. And it's like if things get bad in the relationship, I can take the days, she has the nights. I mean,
that's the thing. Look at that.
Yeah, there's some good logic you got there.
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, like, yeah, with and she's, I just can't cross her, because she is into vengeance. So there's that. But if we got divorced, I would probably remarry Louise from the movie Spring. I kind of fell in love with her on screen. So she's like a romantic, she's mystery, and she lives in a beautiful seaside Italian village. So it would be that would be cool. I just would, she has a secret. I know what it is, so I would just kind of I'd know when to keep my distance, I should say, if you've seen the movie.
Right on. So you're gonna have a mistress, is what you're saying?
Yeah, maybe, and they could go at it. That'd be a very interesting battle. But yeah, that's my plan B if it goes south with Regine.
Cool. All right. Well, those are also awesome. Okay. Well, let's bring it home with kill. So, Taffeta, who would you kill?
For me, I'm gonna go old school back to 1992 with Brain Dead. I'm gonna take that fucking Sumatran rat monkey out. But more so, I'm gonna make sure that it's actually Vera. I'm gonna go right along with the movie. I think that is. There was nothing else I can think of all the movies. I was like, man, what is something that really fucking deserved to die? That fucking Vera rat monster in Dead Alive / Brain Dead. And I would have been the one that would want to do that as well.
Nice.
I think because she was an idiot to begin with. And they said, there's a curse behind it, like there's an indigenous curse behind it. There's a reason why you don't fuck with that shit. And stupid old lady did. So.
You would prevent the movie from happening.
I would
Peter
prevent
Jackson
the movie.
would be bummed.
Well, I would probably still let it happen, but I would still want it to die.
You would just wait till after the movie to kill it.
Or during, maybe?
During, yeah.
Yeah, I think probably right around the time where she started squirting weird shit out of her arm, I'd be like, oh, it's time to kill Vera. So she's
there you go,
gone.
different movie.
Nice. All right, cool. For me, I'm going to say it. I'd kill Annabelle, the doll that we all know from, the Annabelle series and the Ed and Lorraine Warren stuff. Like, it just, like, let's be honest here. I hate dolls. Dolls are creepy to begin with. And I really hate creepy dolls. And obviously, she's the creepiest. And I hate Annabelle in particular because she creeps around and pops up out of the corner of your eye in weird places. And, like, I can't handle that shit. Like, fuck that. You know what I mean? And she's possessed by a demon. So, like, that's bad, know? So all those things together, she'd die. She'd die a horrible death. And I'd nope the fuck right out of there. I'd kill that raggedy ass bitch. I'd throw in a fire. I'd do whatever. I think part of the story is that she can't be destroyed. Is that right? Something. But anyways, regardless, I'd find a way. Fuck her.
No, kill her.
Kill her. Sorry. Yes. Kill her. Kill her. Yes. I don't got a doll fetish. Yeah. Nice. And Peter, who would you kill?
So when racking my brain, I'm like, who do I hate in these movies? And I feel like this is sort of cheating, so this is not going to be my answer. But like Rhodes from Day of the Dead, total piece of shit. Happy to see him die. He's a human, right? So it's the same thing in Night of the Living Dead. You have Harry Cooper, who's this antagonistic dickhead father who you do not want to be trapped in a house with during a zombie siege. So those people, yeah, I would. I'm not into killing people, but I feel like they deserve it. But if we're talking monsters, and I have 3 for different reasons, because this would just be fun. In the movie Grabbers, you got to get drunk, and you're basically invincible to kill these things. So, like, I think that would be kind of a blast, because if you're straight edge, you'd be like, God damn it! But like, if you get to party and kill these fucking things. the I also thought of Pennywise. I'm like, but he didn't really traumatize me as a kid. But if he did, you get to, meet up with your childhood friends and like kill him, and it would be very healing to do so because you trauma bond and rebond and reconnect in the process.
He was on my list as one. Yep.
So I think there's some value beyond that, and I also think it would be kind of fun to have to kill the Blob, just because that shit's so fucking wild. You know. So those are the things that I would probably go after.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Nice.
all very good choices, especially the Blob. That's a fucking mass. That'd be a
That'd be a group effort.
It would be. Yeah, you like the group teams. You like the
collaboration, teamwork. Yeah, I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Right on. Cool. Well, congratulations. We made it to the end of Fuck, Marry, Kill Monster Edition. But we do have a bonus round. And this bonus round is if you could have a beer or smoke a joint or have dinner with any character, good, bad, whatever, from a horror adjacent film, who would it be and why? And we're going to mix up this time. And Peter, you go first.
So there's two people that I was going to say, but they're not technically horror movies. That's Chanel Gerald from The Golden Child. He's just fucking hilarious and would be fun. I mean, it's played by Eddie Murphy, so you'd be hanging out with him. I have some shit in common with him, and he probably informed my sense of humor. Him and Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, I think, would just be entertaining. But I wanted to lean a little bit more into horror. So, and this is actually a little bit of a cheat, but because it's two of them, but it's Val and Earl from Tremors. Like, just to their banter on talking shit with each other, and they just seem like they'd be so down to drink a beer with that, like, they just have crazy stories about dealing with the graboids. I feel like they would be fun.
Tremors was like one of my favorite movies back when it came out,
Yeah, it's a great one. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I just think those dudes would be fun to kick it with.
Good choice. Yeah. Taffeta, why don't you go second this time?
One of the things I was thinking about whenever I was doing this is like, what character would I want to know a little bit more about that I didn't get enough of in the movie? And so I started thinking back to one of my other kind of like, comfort movies that's kind of fucked up is 13 Ghosts. I really love that movie. And I think, I'd want to have a beer with the dead princess or the angry princess. I think she was played by I'm going to look it up. Dana Newman played her. And I don't know, we just get like a brief moment of her lore. She was just the angry princess and she was in a bathtub and obviously she had some issues, but I don't know. I felt like I'd want to hang out with her and just get to know more about her story and like what her deal was and why she was, why she was there, like what made her the angry princess. It'd be some good girl talk, because I think what had happened was is like she cheated on her. I think the lore in the movie, she cheated on her boyfriend and her boyfriend killed her or something like that, drowned her in the tub. But I figured, we could have some good girl talk, talking shit about fucking exes,
You also might be her therapist.
She definitely, I just feel like, like of all the ghosts, like she doesn't really scare me. And I know it's part of like the tarot that they use for her. So I don't know. I just really felt like I'd want to know more about her story.
That's cool. Yeah, good choice. I have two that are kind of on the same theme. I had one, just in case somebody like stole mine, which was probably unlikely to begin with, but but I'll just say them both since I can. The first one would be Hugh Grant from Heretic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because I studied philosophy in college, and this man reminds me of all those annoying ass guys. They're always white guys that sit in the back of the room and go on arguing about the merits of libertarianism with the professor, even though they just learned about libertarianism like from that week's reading. He kind of reminds me of like one of those. And but since I am also a philosophy student, I'm a little like that too. So I like to have a good pseudo intellectual argument with just about anybody, and I think he would be a good one. And the only problem is that I think we probably have a lot of the same positions, so we might just agree most of the time. So that was the first one, and then the second one is Jack from The Shining. And first off, what a character! He's crazy, but he's like crazy in a very interesting kind of way. He says really interesting shit. And he's funny as fuck. Like, what a dude. That's kind of what you want out of a friend, I think. At least the kind that you get drunk and high with. He's the kind of the kind of guy that, you're sitting there, you're smoking a joint, drinking a beer, and by the end of that conversation, he would convince you to murder, your wife and your kids, and probably write the next great American novel. So, like, it's got to be a great conversation any way you look at it. It's always the craziest that burn the brightest.
Yeah. And he comes with his own bartender. So fuck yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that brings us to the end of Fuck, Marry, Kill Monster Edition with bonus round. Do you guys have any cool plans for the week or two ahead?
Well, I will be at San Diego Comic-Con, probably right around the time this airs, the weekend of, not next weekend, but the weekend after that. I have one panel on Friday, and then I have a big Frank Frazetta panel on Saturday at Comic-Con. So I have that going on. And then Ken has a comedy show on Thursday. So we'll be down in San Diego Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So if you guys are
look up Taffeta
around, yeah, come see the panels, come see Ken's comedy show. And I'm pretty much just working nonstop until then, so I can catch up on what I missed and prepare for the week.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your involvement with Frank Frazetta?
Oh, well, I do a little bit of work with the Frazetta Girls, which is kind of like the legacy and the grandkids and daughter of fantasy artist Frank Frazetta, who's one of my all-time favorite artists. He was one of my specialties that I was learning and getting really familiar with and researching a lot when I worked back at the auction house at Heritage. And whenever I was taking on some new clients, they reached out and were like, hey, we'd love to have you represent us, blah, blah, blah. And to be superficial for a minute, she was like, I just think you're gorgeous. And that's kind of what we want. And I'm sorry, it's based off your looks. So I'm like, I know my place. It's fine. So let's go.
You like fit the prototypical Frazetta girl, I suppose. Huh?
So, that's kind of what I do. I am real thankful that the Frazetta Girls contacted me, and I thought I was going to be moderating the panel, but they're like, oh no, we want you to speak on it. So I'm actually putting together the panel for that night and putting a lot together. And then I do talking head videos for them on the side to where I just do like 1 minute Frazettas of just something cool or quick. So, yeah.
We had a few friends over last night for 4th of July, mostly my fiance's friends, and her best friend growing up was talking about Frank Frazetta last night. And I was like, what the story?
Oh, fun. Yeah. He's incredible. It's a weird dream because I think 10 years ago was the first time that I actually touched and was doing something with Frank Frazetta. And now I'm part of working with his estate.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
So that's what I have going on. Come see me at San Diego Comic-Con in 2 weeks.
And Peter, you got anything planned?
I just want to get to the beach. It hasn't been warm enough. Really? Because it's always 10 degrees cooler there. So I'm waiting for it to get super hot and go to the beach. Writing, things of that nature. Nothing super exciting on my end. I'm kind of old and boring these days, but
yeah, the same. I'm just so swamped with work. I don't got a lot planned either. I'm doing these videos for the LA County Board of Supervisors, that World Cup viewing party that I got toasted at yesterday, probably will again today. But I'm also editing this Sierra Club campaign video, I guess campaign for social. I don't know, whatever. It's kind of a big social production for them. And let's see, it's funny. A bunch of things always kind of land at one time. So I'm just kind of in over my head with work at the moment, but I would love to potentially watch a few things if I can. So maybe I'll have something to talk about next time.
Right on.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for you guys for coming up with some amazing preferences for Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Thanks for all the news and the insights and the releases. Good stuff. Thank y'all for having me back after me being.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, Chris. I mean, I don't think people quite realize what you put into that.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's fun though. Honestly, it forces me to keep up to date on all the things happening in the industry, which I probably wouldn't set aside the time to do normally. So it's not too bad, But cool. Well, next week we'll be back. We're hoping to land an interview. If not, we'll do something else fun with the three of us. But stay tuned and check us out in 2 weeks.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Go fuck, kill, or marry as a monster.
As many as you want.
Preferably all at once.
By consent.
Yeah, get consent first. And that's going to bring us to the end of today's episode of Nightmare Logic. For today's show notes, you can check out our website at nightmarelogic.net and follow us on Instagram at nightmarelogicpod. We'd like to give a big thank you to our composer, Lars Lang Peterson, for the score. And we hope that you tune in 2 weeks, where we're going to have another amazing episode for you to listen to. Until then.